When you have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, sometimes it feels like you have absolutely no energy, none. And one of the reasons for that is maybe not your thyroid. Maybe your thyroid is producing enough thyroid hormone, T4, but it's not getting converted to the type that your body can use, the T3. If you're short on T3, you're going to be short on everything that relies on that little ignition switch for the cell, like energy. So today I'm going to answer that question of what stops T4 from converting to T3, or what can I do to help my body convert T4 to T3 again. Welcome to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. I am Esther. I am a registered nurse. I'm a holistic health educator, and I'm a mom of 4. I live in the country and I have a whole bunch of chickens. The weather right now, it's really weird. I'm recording this, in the middle of winter, except the weather doesn't know that it's winter. And therefore, my chickens don't know that it's winter either. So the roosters are just crowing a ton. I do have a little sound shield around my microphone, so hopefully you won't hear them. But it's about every 3 seconds I can hear the roosters crowing. So I hope that you don't hear them. And if you do, I hope it just makes you smile. So on this episode, we're going to talk about T4 to T3. And just like always, I'm going to give you simple, sustainable strategies because I always want you to leave knowing that you can do something for your health. I posted a picture on Instagram the other day, and it was basically like, don't wait for a diagnosis. People wait, or they're seeking a diagnosis on average for 4 years before they find out that they have Hashimoto's, or even that they have hypothyroid. And then it takes longer to find out that that's caused by Hashimoto's. And all of that time during those 4 years and those 4 different specialists, which is on average, you can be doing things for your health. Like, let's just take the very basic things. Sleep. We all need sleep, and that's when our bodies heal and restore and renew. So we need sleep. You can be doing that. You can be prioritizing that all the time, not just after you get a diagnosis. Cutting out processed foods. We can be doing that all of the time, not just after we get a diagnosis. It's easier sometimes to be looking for ways to help after you have a diagnosis because you know more what you're attacking. But then, of course, there's also a lot of situations where you'll get a diagnosis of Hashimoto's or hypothyroid, and you don't know what caused it. So you don't know how to fix it. You don't know what those root causes are. And that's why I created a workshop to help you figure out what your root causes are so that you know exactly what to do. So head down to the show notes. There's a link, or you can head over to healthwithhashimotos.com and you can sign up for that free workshop so you can figure out what your root causes are. But today, let's talk about T4 to T3 conversion. Now, you might need a quick refresher. That's okay. Episode 3 is all about your labs and what the different things do. But essentially, you need to know this. Every single cell needs a little spark plug in order to start to activate that cell, right? And it is your T3 that is that spark plug. However, your thyroid creates T4, and then that has to be converted in order to be able to be used. Sometimes the T4 gets converted to the brakes instead. It's like a parent giving their overtired kid a nap instead of caffeine. They're like, no, you want more energy, you want to do stuff, but I know that you need a nap because you are exhausted, and I'm not going to give you this caffeine. That is kind of what reverse T3 is. It's the T4 getting converted to the brakes system. It's to help you slow down so that you have to prioritize rest and healing. And really what we all want is T3, is more energy, the ability to continue doing because we have a lot to do. We are very busy. We have a lot of different things on our plates. So naturally, we want to maintain our energy. We want to build that energy so we can get things done. So let's talk about why T4 to T3 conversion doesn't happen. And the main place that T4 is converted is your liver. So obviously, one of the things that we're going to focus on is our liver health and helping our liver to not be congested. Episode 69 is primarily about estrogen, but estrogen has to do with the liver because the liver processes estrogen. So I talked a lot about liver health. I gave you a lot of tips in episode 69. I do have the link to that episode down in the show notes. But basically, you want to help your liver to do what your liver is supposed to do. I hear people, especially in the medical world, talk about your body as if we were like 200, 300 years ago. And they're like, your liver, of course, it's the primary detox organ and it can do what it's supposed to do. Why are you talking about liver health? Why are you talking about supporting your liver? Why are you talking about liver congestion? Well, it's because we live in the 2020s where we are surrounded by different environmental chemicals and toxins that our bodies have to process and deal with. These are things that nobody was exposed to even 50, 60, 70 years ago. There are more and more put on the market every single day. It's kind of scary to look up the statistics of how many different chemicals are put into our world, are created every single year. It's absolutely crazy. So we want to support our livers. I'm not going to go through all of those things because that was pretty much an entire podcast episode in episode 69. So head back there and I will tell you about liver health there. The second thing is if you are not converting T4 to T3 well, it could be because you don't have the ingredients. You need selenium. Selenium helps your body convert T4 to T3. And when I first started looking into thyroid stuff, that was the first thing I read, or one of the first things was like, you need 200 I don't know if it's micrograms or milligrams. It's 200 of selenium every day, which is approximately 2 Brazil nuts every single day. Well, that's pretty easy to do, right? If you like Brazil nuts. A lot of supplements also have selenium in them, especially the thyroid supplements, because selenium is required for that conversion. For your body to convert the inactive form, the T4 to T3, you have to have selenium and you have to have enough selenium. So I gave you liver congestion. That's the biggest problem in this conversion. And selenium is like the easiest one to tackle. So I gave you both ends of the spectrum. Now let's go towards the middle. So another huge thing that can inhibit that conversion, it can stop the conversion or slow the conversion of T4 to T3 is stress. It's specifically your stress hormone, the cortisol, and we have talked about that before. But when your cortisol is up, it has this like negative feedback loop. So, it just keeps going round and round and round. And it's not good. It slows your T4 to T3 or it stops it. It makes your body say, nope, we're going to convert it to reverse T3 because we need to put the brakes on. So addressing our stress levels and addressing our adrenals, which are little glands that put out the stress hormones, that is really important. Another problem of increased stress is when your body is in that stressed mode, it can cause your cells to be less receptive to those thyroid hormones. So even if, you're making enough T4 and then you're converting it to T3 adequately, your actual tissues, your actual cells might be less sensitive. And so then you can still feel like you have hypothyroid. So there's so much going on. And when I was doing the research for this episode, I was just struck over and over, like everything I would read, it would remind me that everything is related. You really cannot work on just one thing. Your body just doesn't work that way. Your body, mind, spirit, diet, environment is all connected. You are a whole person. That's why I have that 5-petaled flower in my logo, because you're whole. Each of those is connected. And yet it goes deeper. Like, selenium is something that you eat. It's related to your diet, of course, but then that impacts how your body converts T4 to T3. And when you're stressed, that impacts it. But then there's so much more. I took notes. I actually had, I had to have ChatGPT do this one for me, which is just funny. I read it like 3 times and it was making sense in my head, but it's like, oh my goodness, I am just tired and I just want this in simple terms. So I told ChatGPT, put this in simple terms for me. And basically what this research article said was that thyroid hormones and then minerals and things like iodine, selenium, iron, copper, zinc, calcium, magnesium, they all play a role in tons of things, including the thyroid. And then it went on to say how all of these different things were related to something else, which is related to something else. And then that it like closed the circle. And then those impacted autoimmune thyroid problems. It was this like really long, convoluted thing. And maybe I will do a future episode about all of these things because it was a fascinating article. I just had to read it a couple times, and it's still at that high level where obviously if I had to put it into ChatGPT, like I can't explain it super simply yet, but I will get there. Anyway, that article, it was super fascinating because what they ended up saying, oh my goodness, this is maybe going to drive you as crazy as it drove me crazy. They said, we don't have a medicine for this yet, so we're going to have to keep working on looking at how to give your body a boost with all of the other things and putting them all together. And that's not how medicine likes to work. Medicine doesn't like to say you need a whole bunch of things. They like to say this is one problem with one solution. Looking at it and seeing there is one problem and you're going to need a blend of iodine, selenium, zinc, magnesium, decreased stress, all of this stuff in order to attack one problem. Well, that's not how medicine works. So the research paper, they sounded fairly frustrated at the end, like basically saying, we don't have a medicine for this, so we're going to keep on working. And yet everything they had talked about in that article were things that we know that we can address. For example, one of them was oxidative stress. When your cells are working, just like a car, when it's working, it puts out exhaust, right? Your cells kind of put out exhaust that when they're working, they create what are called free radicals. And those, just like your exhaust, it causes pollution. And the pollution in your cells is just like a browning of a banana or rust on a car. It's oxidative stress. And we know that we can clean it up. I talk about Protandim NRF2 a lot because research, like multiple dozens of research studies have shown us how it helps. Protandim NRF2, it decreases your oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. And this article is like, yeah, oxidative stress is one problem and we need to work on it, but we don't have a medicine for it yet. Well, no, because herbs help. Protandim NRF2 is a blend of 5 herbs, and they're very common herbs. And in fact, in NRF2, in that activator, they're in really small quantities. And medicine doesn't like that either. Western medicine is like, go big or go home. Well, sometimes you don't have to go big. Sometimes small, simple, sustainable things are what works. Anyway, back to T4 and T3. I got myself all fired up. All right, so I was talking about stress. Because stress is related to everything. Stress, makes your tissues less receptive to the thyroid hormones. It also stops the conversion. So what can you do about your adrenals and about the stress? I have a bunch of episodes, but today I will tell you specifically about episode 24 because I did talk about your adrenal glands in 24. I have other episodes about stress as well, but episode 24 is about your adrenals and chronic stress, and I can give you some tips in there. Most likely, I also reference the other stress episodes I've done because there's a bunch. One thing that I have not mentioned on the stress episodes is something I pinned to my Instagram or saved to my Instagram the other day. I need to do a reel or a post about it, and it's reading books, reading fiction books, like, not fact books, but fiction stories. It decreases your stress and it helps your overall health. So I love to read. I absolutely love to read. It is like my go-to. I don't watch TV very much. I don't watch TV hardly at all. But I read books almost every single night. I am tucked in my bed reading until I fall asleep or until I get tired and I put my book down. Because I know that I will stay awake as long as the book is open. So I do close the book. Anyway, books can help you lower stress. And I don't think I've talked about that in any of the stress episodes. My goodness, I am all over today. So back to T4 to T3. we're decreasing stress. We're focusing on our adrenals. We're focusing on our liver. We're eating Brazil nuts or making sure that we get enough selenium. And then here's something that you cannot change, and that is genetic mutations. You might have heard of the MTHFR gene mutation. There's a lot more talk about that, but there's another genetic mutation, and it is really long. The best I could find for a name, it's THR92ALADIO2 polymorphism. It's super long, right? Basically, if you have this genetic mutation, which according to one study I read, 1 in 5 people has it, you might not be able to adequately convert T4 to T3. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means you don't have to go get genetic testing to figure this out. Maybe you want to, and that's okay. But if you feel like you've been taking T4, if you've been taking levothyroxine, Synthroid, things that are just T4, and you're not feeling like you have enough energy, or you're taking it and you get your blood drawn and you see that your free T3, free meaning it's available in your blood for your cells to reach out and grab. If your free T3 is still low, then your body might not be converting. And you can address it with the other ways that I've talked about, but you might just need T3. And so that would be Armor, or that would be some blend of T4 and T3. Or it's taking a T4 and then adding a different T3 with it. Now, T3 has a bad rap in the medical world because back, I think in the 1980s, it was used wrongly. It was used by people who wanted extra energy and who wanted to lose weight. So they falsely, increased it. And then they had side effects because then you're going to have heart palpitations and you're going to have anxiety and you're going to have all of these crazy hyperthyroid symptoms, which are not good. Your thyroid and your thyroid hormones need to be in the Goldilocks range. So when people were using this T3 and using it wrongly, then it got this reputation of being really harmful. It's not harmful. It's harmful if it's used wrong, and you might need it. So there are pills of T3. And like I said, there's already combinations, and there's also a cream. And some people find that they do a cream better. Now, for that prescription, you might have to dig around for a different doctor or a compounding pharmacy. You might have to really be a patient advocate for that one because it's not as common. But in the research and in the books that I have read, sometimes that cream works better because T3 is a very fast acting. So if you put it on a cream, then it absorbs a little bit slower through your skin, and it just is more sustained energy throughout the day. That is something to have a conversation with your doctor about. I am not your doctor. I'm not prescribing. I'm not recommending, but I am empowering you to have information and knowledge so that you know what to talk to your doctor about. So the main things that stop T4 to T3 conversion would be number 1, your liver. Number 2, your stress. Number 3, you don't have the ingredients like selenium. And then there's that genetic mutation. So what can you do? Well, make sure that you're getting the ingredients. Like vitamin A, it's essential for liver function. And you can't get it if you're doing a vegan diet. I'm sorry. You can get beta carotene, which is converted to vitamin A, but to have adequate levels of vitamin A, you do need some animal sources. And that is why I believe that we are seeing more and more thyroid problems in vegans. In people who follow a vegan diet for many years, often they will develop problems. And that is something really hard for people to hear because being vegan is usually more about diet. It's about more than diet. It's about, how you feel about animals and the environment and different things. However, being vegan means that you might not be getting the exact nutrients that you need. So vitamin A is one example of a nutrient that you need in order to have your liver work, in order to convert T4 to T3. Magnesium is another one. It is the number 1 deficiency in the Western world, and it controls over 300 different functions in the body. Magnesium is a mineral. It's so important for everything. And one of those 300 functions is conversion from T4 to T3. So we really need to focus on getting everything. Now, there's a whole lot of forms of magnesium, and usually when you're supplementing with magnesium, it's more than you can get in a multivitamin. Most multivitamins or multi-nutrients do have some magnesium, but not enough. It's one that you have to take extra. I take mine at bedtime. I take a blend that has calcium and magnesium, and then it has multiple kinds of magnesium in it, and it helps me sleep better. I feel like my muscles are more relaxed when I take it. I started taking it back when I was pregnant. I've been pregnant 5 times. I have 4 kids, 1 miscarriage. And you know that third trimester when you're giving so many minerals to your baby as it's growing, like all of a sudden you have leg cramps and restless legs, and it is just horrible. Well, I started taking that blend when I was pregnant, and it was so good. My legs were fine when I was taking it. And so I've been a believer in that one ever since, maybe even before. Anyway, so the magnesium, you're going to take it at night if you choose to supplement it. You just don't want to take it with your thyroid medications because there can be some interactions. So that is what I have for you today. There are a lot of reasons why your T4 might not be converting to T3, but most of them are things that we've talked about before. Your liver, your stress, and your nutrients. And then, of course, there's that genetic mutation, which you can't do anything about. You just have to observe and then take action and say, maybe this is going on. Can we try this? Or maybe you say to your doctor or provider, I've heard that 1 in 4 people has a genetic mutation and they cannot convert T4 to T3. So do you think that I might be one of those 1 in 5? Do you think maybe we need to try a T3 for me? Would that help? And hopefully your doctor or your provider is going to say, I hadn't considered that. That's a great idea. Let's do that. And if they don't give you a positive response, then maybe it's time to look for another provider, one who will work with you, because we want you to always be improving, to get the help that you need, to have the resources that you need. I firmly believe that your provider should be fighting for you just as hard as you are fighting for yourself. Of course, you are the CEO of your own health. You make the ultimate decision, but you want a really good team on your board of advisors, and your doctor is on your team. So hopefully you have a really good one and you can get what you need so that your body can convert T4 to T3. Now, as far as all of the minerals and everything, I think I've talked about it before. What I choose to do is I take a multi-nutrient. And I know I'm already at 22 minutes. I try to stop at 20, but I want to tell you about this. There are so many different things in your body that all need different resources. They need different nutrients. They need vitamins and minerals, and they need them in different levels. And if you supplement with one, then you're going to have a problem somewhere else because they all have to be in balance. So what I do is I take a multi-nutrient, and it's Time-Wise. That's not the name of the product, but it's created with Time-Wise technology so that I take it twice a day. Because in a multivitamin, most multivitamins, there are things that counteract each other. So you'll have one thing that inactivates another ingredient. Well, the multi-nutrient that I take, those are divided out. So in the morning, I take the things that are going to be, most beneficial for my energy throughout the day. And then in the evening, I take the one that has a little bit more mineral content, and nothing interacts and cancels out the other things. I do feel like in the last 5 to 10 years, there are more and more multi-nutrients and vitamins coming on the market that look at the balance of everything, the synergy, how everything works together. So I feel like there are more options now than there were 20 years ago when I first had to start looking for a really good vitamin. And then I don't even think we knew about adaptogens. Hopefully the multi-nutrient that you choose does have adaptogens. Adaptogens is just a fancy way of saying nutrients that support your stress response. They help you adapt. They help your body adapt. So the multi-nutrient that I take does have adaptogens. You can find a lot of them on the market now. And when you're looking, you can just take my word for it and head down to the show notes. The one that I use is from LifeVantage. They're the same company that makes Protandim, the NRF2 that I was talking about. And one nice thing about doing it that way is that the company expects that you're going to use multiple products, and they make sure that all of the products are designed to go with all of the products. So I know that I'm not going to, get too much of something, or I'm not going to break the synergy. So that is why I use a lot of products from LifeVantage. Number one, they're the best on the market. They're the only place that you're going to get that NRF2 activator. So I love that I can just, add to my order. Everything comes on subscription. I don't have to worry about it. I get the NRF2 activator. I get the NRF1, which helps my mitochondria. That's the energy production of your cell. And I've talked about that before. I get those multi-nutrients. And it is the same company that I talked about last episode where my husband got the fat burn, which he is taking. And like I said in the last episode, it was a 16-week study. So we're not 16 weeks into it. I can't tell you how his results are. I can tell you that he hasn't had any, he doesn't feel weird or anything. I took one and I felt a little jittery. I'm super, super, super caffeine sensitive, and it does have some caffeine in it. So I didn't need it. I just wanted to know, what does it do for me? So I'm not going to be taking it again. But it is super nice to have one company where you can just log on, change your subscription, add things to it, subtract things to it, and you know that you're getting a really good foundation of health. And that is one reason I love LifeVantage, and that I will continue to talk about their products because number one, they're amazing. The NRF2 activator is different than anything else. And I firmly believe that everybody should be on it because we all need less pollution in our cells. We need to focus on our cells. And a multi-nutrient, if you don't already take something that is giving your body the good variety that it needs of vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, everything, then take a look at this one. So head down to the show notes, click on the link, and you can just explore the store. Like I said, I take the NRF2. NRF1, the time-wise, I think it's called Rise AM and Reset PM. The brain drink, the Axio, it helps my brain work, which I absolutely need sometimes. And then my husband is taking the fat burn. You can explore the store. There's a lot of things in there that I absolutely love. This has gone really long. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope that this has been helpful in helping you understand why your body might not be converting T4 to T3. And hopefully now you have some extra questions that you can ask your doctor or your provider, and some extra things that you can do in order to help your body do what your body is supposed to do. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please be sure to discuss any concerns and plans with your trusted healthcare professional.